Joins us now. Jessica, these negotiations really went down to the wire.
They really did, Asier. In fact, negotiations on dairy were going on just 4 hours before the public press conference this morning when the deal was announced. And while not everyone got what they wanted, no one doubts that this deal is very historic.
We, the trade ministers of Australia, Brunei Darussalam, Canada.
5 years after they began, negotiations to form the largest free trade bloc in the world are complete. 12 Pacific Rim nations soon to be under one set of trade rules. The agreement eliminates or reduces tariffs, lifts favoritism for state-owned enterprises, protects intellectual property, extends unionization rights, and creates a way to settle disputes.
This is a massive achievement in reducing that red tape.
Regional auto trade is a big winner under the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP. U.S. automakers will get access to Japan's long-closed market, and Japanese automakers will have greater flexibility on sourcing auto parts. But biotech drug makers got less intellectual property protections than they wanted before their research can be used to make generic drugs. And even after last-minute negotiations, some dairy tariffs still remain. New Zealand-based Fonterra, which supplies 1/3 of the world's dairy exports, released a statement of disappointment, leaving the trade minister to take the long view.
This agreement will not only create opportunities for dairy farmers in Australia and New Zealand, but it will help over the long term to reduce volatility. So it's all about the direction of travel. This is unquestionably positive for our dairy farmers.
China, the second largest trading partner in the region, is not a party to the TPP. It's leading a broad trade pact of its own with 15 other nations in the region, some of which are also now part of the TPP.
These are both complementary arrangements for a trading nation like Malaysia.
The TPP has major opposition from labor organizers and environmental advocates who say developing economies like Malaysia, Vietnam, and Brunei can't meet its ambitious standards. But Vietnam's trade minister says the nation has already signed on to existing international labor rules which protect workers' rights.
And Malaysia and Brunei have also signed on to that international labor standard. But the next step here, as you said, Asier, is really gaining passage for this agreement in all 12 of these national capitals. Here in the U.S., we're going to have a lot of debate on this once the public, I should say, finally gets to see what this agreement is all about.
Jessica, do we know when will that happen?
You know, I thought it was a pretty basic question to ask the U.S. trade negotiators, but they couldn't give me a straight answer. What we know is that the negotiators are working on the final language. They're basically trying to clean it up, package it, and then there will be 60 days for the U.S. public to review it, and the U.S. president will sign it, and then only then does it go to a congressional vote.
You know, I wasn't surprised that this deal was controversial. What I was surprised about was the secrecy surrounding it, and with secrecy comes questions about transparency.
Yeah.
So has anyone seen the language besides the actual negotiators?
Well, from what I understand, people on Capitol Hill have been able to see it, but they have to have a security clearance, and they're not even allowed to take notes. So you can imagine that created a lot of a talk of its own, just the security around this. But on the other hand, you know, 12 countries trying to negotiate something, they obviously don't want to do it in the press. There's got to be some tamping down of what accusations are, and that may well be what they would say brought us to this day.
All right, CCTV's Jessica Stone. Thank you, Jessica.